Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the spell Spirit Shroud.
Ooh, spooky. This is Tasha's College and Everything, back at it again. Bonus action cast time. Love that. Range of self, verbal mana component. This is a cleric, paladin, warlock, wizard spell, which is a large laundry list of spells or of classes that don't necessarily overlap that much. So it has concentration up to a minute. You call forth spirits of the dead, which flit. That's the word they used. Flit around you for the spell's duration. The spirits are intangible and invulnerable. I learn new words every day. Until the spell ends.
Intangible, invulnerable, or flit?
Flit.
Okay.
I've heard flitter. I haven't heard flit.
Yeah.
In any case, until the spell ends, any attack you make deals a d8 extra damage when you hit a creature within 10 feet of you. The damage is radiant, necrotic, or cold, your choice. Any creature that takes the damage can't regain hit points till the start of your next turn. In addition, any creature of your choice that you can see that starts its turn within 10 feet of you has a speed reduced by 10 feet. Until the start of your next turn. At higher levels, when you cast the spell using 4th level or higher, the damage goes up by a d8 for every 2 slots above 3rd. So this is bonus action, minute duration, Hunter's Mark Plus, kind of, but it's like short range Hunter's Mark Plus, which is...
And it's also kind of Spirit Guardians.
Kind of. The template range is...
I mean, listen, I'm looking at Spirit Guardians right now. The description, you call forth spirits to protect you. They flit around you. And
oh my god.
Yes.
Whatever intern was in charge of making the flavor text for these really just did the copy paste, huh?
Yeah.
So, thematically, Spirit Guardians is what's happening here, right? So, Spirit Guardians being this area of effect damage control tool, not really what Spirit Shroud's doing, even a little bit. In fact, I would go as far to say the Spirit has next to nothing to do with Spirit Shroud. Like, there's not angry, frightening spirits. They're chilling, I guess. So it's like the cold, slow kind of thing, which, sure. I don't know. So this to me screams like it's supposed to be a paladin or a cleric spell. Paladin's getting at a 9th level isn't the end of the world. It's not great. It requiring concentration is a little bit of a bummer, but it being a bonus action is, it's fine. Then you have to ask yourself, well, is this better than a 3rd level Divine Smite? And the answer to that question is no. So then you're left with clerics are making one attack with this around, and that doesn't seem great. So who's casting this? Warlocks have Hex. Warlocks have better things than Spirit Shroud. I'm not really seeing it. I guess on Warlocks, it's nice that it bumps up to 5th level automatically. So you're getting 5d8 damage. Or 2d8 bonus damage on a 5th level cast with your Pact Magic. So like with Thirsting Blade, it's 48 around. With things like the concentration protection, it seems okay. It doesn't seem like that much of an upgrade over Hex, though, like, at all. The damage dice size is slightly important, but not... I don't know if it's, like, worth 5th level spell slot important. I'm not sure. I don't know, Bob.
Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my head around this because I was too focused on Spirit Guardians while you were talking. So this
is just Spirit Guardians.
Well, yeah, that flavor thing threw me for a loop.
I can't believe they even threw the flit again. Incredible.
Yeah, that's 2 flits.
Double the flitting. It's the more we say it, the more it sounds like a slur, and I'm like, we should stop. It's just a weird word, man. So,
all right. Well, this is a little bit different than Hunter's Mark and Hex. I mean, those don't negate your ability to regain hit points, correct?
No. Hex gives them disadvantage on an ability check. Hunter's Mark lets you track them. All of the time with these spell effects, that's not an important element of them. Like 95% of the weight of these spells, 95% of that power comes in the bonus damage you're getting. And I think that's supposed to be the case here too. So like Chill Touch is a cantrip where Chill Touch is not the cantrip that turns off healing. There's a cantrip that turns off healing. I can't remember what it is.
It is Chill Touch.
It is Chill Touch? I used Chill Touch recently, again, in a one-shot where I was playing a Death of the Main Cleric, and I was like... It was important because zombies got disadvantage on attack rolls against me because it does that to undead. But yeah, sure, Chill Touch also turns off healing. That's never like... Whenever you really, really need it, whenever you're against the troll encounter, when you're against the high-level cleric that's doing big heals, it's really important. But that's like, a really tiny % of encounters, which is in the spell's favor in that this is a spell that you're supposed to always want to prepare to cast because it's a damage bump. And then in those encounters where the healing is there, it's just gravy on top of that. And then honestly makes that gravy a little bit more impactful, because that's what spell's kind of supposed to be doing. I just don't know if I love training a 5th level spell slot for this. Again, Warlocks don't have a choice, so that's a big upside for Warlocks. But the rest of the classes that get this, I'm like, I mean, at minimum, Wizards never casting this ever, right?
Yeah, this is, I mean, 3rd level spell. This is yeah, I can think of like 100 that are preferable to this.
Yeah.
In any situation.
A D8 bonus damage on hit, even whenever you like make the attack roll the same turn. Yeah, that ain't it for a 3rd level slot. You could be fireballing, as we always say. You could be doing any number of other big, powerful, impactful 3rd level spell effects that do damage.
Well, also, you're probably not doing actual attacks. You're probably using spells.
Yeah. Which is like the second kind of checkmark against it is this is, I don't understand why this is limited to the 10-foot radius. I don't think that, yeah, I don't, if this were able to be cast on other people, it'd be way more interesting. I'd be all about it then, because then you'd be like, okay, now we're just going to load up on the Warlock and they're going to kill the hell out of something. We're going to load up on the Paladin and then it's going to be decimated. It would be
well,
sweet.
The Paladin can use this though, so that's something.
But like they don't necessarily want to be A, concentrating on this, and B, investing the spell slot instead of investing in a smite. Like if you're like, okay, on my turn, I have bonus action with a 3rd level spell slot. That could be 2d8 damage this turn, 2d8 damage next turn. Or, hear me out, it could just be 48 damage right now. So they're both, in both cases, you're getting 48 damage. One of them front loads it, one of them doesn't. I think I take the front loaded one basically every time.
Yeah.
Right? That's where I think Paladins kind of run into an issue with it. And having to upcast it to 5th level to get the 2d8 damage, which is where it like starts actually being interesting. That's a 70 level Paladin feature that takes your concentration, that does a bonus 2d8 damage on hit. It's fine, but I still don't love it. I mean, it helps that you can stack the smites on top of it, right? So you like, if you want to elderly do as much damage as humanly possible in a round, you go, okay, great. Bonus action, Spirit Shroud, smite. And then something that just takes a lot of d8s of damage. That's kind of ghoulish overkill, and normally the Novaing, where you're just using all your resources on one short burst, which is fine. There are people that really enjoy that, but like, I don't think it's I don't think that makes this spell particularly powerful. I don't think Spirit Shroud is doing the heavy lifting on the gigantic burst of damage there. It's just a little bit extra tacked on that is meaningful, I guess.
I mean, if you want to Nova and don't have an alternative to this, I guess that's something.
Sure, if you don't have something else to be concentrating on.
I'm also not in love with, we say again and again, concentration spells that ask you to get up close and personal with your enemies.
Yeah.
That's, I guess, ranged Paladin, but like we talked about Paladin, ranged Cleric.
10-foot range is limited by Spirit Shroud.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, it really is like hamstrung at every possible moment. It's like, what if it was just a little bit worse? And we've almost exclusively talked about the damage. You did mention like, okay, the negation of healing is meaningful. The slow
I knew that wasn't anything when I brought it up. I was just trying to mention that it exists.
That's fair. What also exists is the 10-foot slow, which is you can slow 2 things if you're engaged in melee range with 2 things that you're slowing. I don't think they're going anywhere. I think they're just going to hit you back. It's normally what happens in these fist fights, right? Like, I don't think an extra 20-foot, especially because this eats your bonus action, so there's no like disengage options are really happening here. I don't expect this to be readily like, I skirmish with it. I don't expect there to be a attack, 2 things are slowed, I move out of threat range and take opportunity attacks. Like that doesn't seem great.
If I want that, I'll use the spell slow or Ray of Frost.
Sure. There are other ways to get the slowing effect where it's actually impactful. I just don't think like, I think that line of text adds almost nothing meaningful, full stop. I think that there'll be ones of cases per campaign where the slow on these attacks will matter. Spirit Shroud, if you're in the market for, if you're a melee Pact of the Blade Warlock, and you're in the market to say, I want a short duration, better hex, this is technically that. And I think that's about as far as I'm able to give it any kind of credit. And for those characters, for the Paladins, where you want to Nova extra hard, sure. The slight upgrade over what already exists, this pretty core tenet, but it's like much narrower, where hexes is something that dozens of builds use. This is something that a build uses, right? This is one of the 3 pact options, whether you're Hexblade or you're taking Pact with Fiend, or you're doing, Blade with Fiend, or you're doing like one of the other relatively narrow Pact of the Blade builds. this could be something for exactly that archetype. I don't love spells that are this narrow. I don't think spells any business being this narrow. And it makes me also say, if it's not even good on clerics or wizards, just make it a paladin warlock exclusive. I've been into that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me that, I mean, of course, wizards get everything. Wizards don't need it. It
Wizards is, it's really, that one is really odd to me because wizards aren't innately the occultists. I get that they're the necromancers sometimes, but that overlap feels narrow at best. Like this, what about Spirit Shroud screams spirit to you?
It's called Spirit Shroud.
Yeah, that's
as
it,
far
right?
as I looked before comparing it to Spirit Guardians.
It uses the word flit, which is a naturally spirit thing, apparently. Spirits flit in the canon of Dungeons and Dragons, for those curious. Burgeoning DMs out there, if you want to describe your spirit's movement, them flitting about, perhaps is how we describe that. But, like, this is a damage enhancer that is an enhanced version of a first level spell that warlocks get, that paladins can get through. They can get hex through, or they can get Hunter's Mark through one of their oaths. The Vengeance one, I think, is what it gives them Hunter's Mark. So, like, these options have had this for a while. If you want a slight upgrade, again, go trading 8 hours for an hour, or for 1 minute, it's a gigantic deal. So, like, you're not getting this over multiple encounters, you're getting this in an encounter. Sure. Outside of that, don't take.
Yeah, I'm not super stoked about this one.
Neither am
I. Yeah, I guess we've beaten it to death, though. You got a rating?
So on the builds that can protect the concentration that are getting the 2d8 extra damage, it's probably something you want. So I think that makes it a 3. I think that on the dedicated Hexblades, on the dedicated... It's really just Hexblades. On the characters that are using Pact of the Blade with Thirsting Blade, this is a spell that you take to replace your Hex in some encounters, and that'll be fine. Outside of that specific case, I don't think anyone should be putting this on their sheets. Even Paladins, you don't... If you're a Paladin, you probably don't want to be trying to concentrate on something as you're trying to take all the damage. And you don't want that thing just to be like slightly more damage whenever you could just be like, or down the road, it's an extra 5d8 damage. Like, I think I'll take the extra 5d8 damage on the road every time,
right? Yeah, with all the work you had to put into making this usable, I can't see anybody really using it. There's so many other options that do similar things. But yeah, it's not like absolute garbage, so I'll give it a 2.
Fair.
All right.
Another rare case where I rated higher than you.
Yeah. Those are getting a little more common.
Ooh. Have I made you jaded and think everything's bad now?
Perhaps. I'll see what I can do about that in future videos. All right. That was Spirit Shroud. Thank you, Sam, and thank you, everyone, for joining us. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.